The day my world shattered is etched in my memory with a clarity I wish I could forget. My wife, Sarah, was gone. One moment, we were laughing in our sunlit kitchen in a small town in Ohio, and the next, she was taken from me by a sudden illness that left me reeling, clutching our 2-year-old son, Noah, and asking God why he allowed such a cruel twist of fate. Grief became my constant companion. Nights were the hardest. Listening to Noah's soft breathing while I stared at the ceiling, imagining Sarah's smile, hearing her laughter echoing through the empty halls of our home. I never thought life would feel this hollow, this heavy. From the beginning, I felt a responsibility not only to my son but to my mother-in-law, Margaret. She had raised Sarah alone after her husband's untimely death and had been my closest ally during the months following the accident. Her grief was raw, her world upended just as much as mine. It became instinctive for me to send her $300 every month, an act of quiet support that felt like the least I could do for the woman who had given me the love of my life. Each check was mailed with a note, simple words of care and encouragement, a lifeline bridging the gap between our shared pain. I never questioned it, never thought twice, because helping her was a way to keep Sarah's memory alive. If you believe in kindness and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Years went by. Noah grew from a toddler into a curious, energetic little boy who loved to draw rockets and tell me stories about imaginary worlds. Life had softened its edges just enough for me to breathe again, though the ache never truly disappeared. Margaret would call occasionally, her voice brittle with age, but always warm, expressing gratitude for the monthly help that, in my mind, had kept her afloat. She spoke of bills, small repairs, groceries, and how she couldn't have managed without that little bit of extra support. I never doubted the necessity of my sacrifice. The checks were sent without fail, a quiet ritual that reminded me of the fragility of life and the importance of family. But life, as it often does, has a way of revealing truths when you least expect them. One evening, while I was organizing bills for tax season, I stumbled across a stack of mail Margaret had sent me over the years, old letters, thank you cards, and a few envelopes I had overlooked. Curiosity led me to open them. Among them was a recent letter with the return address of a small local law firm. Inside, there were documents that made my heart nearly stop. Margaret had passed away quietly 6 months ago. She had lived comfortably, far beyond what I had imagined, and there was a note from her attorney explaining that she had never cashed a single check I had sent in the last 3 years. Every dollar I had sent, carefully budgeted from my modest earnings, had gone unused, untouched, left in my account or returned by the bank in ways I had never noticed. Shock, confusion, and a strange mixture of anger and sorrow washed over me. Why hadn't she told me? Why did she let me carry the burden of grief and financial support, believing it was helping her, when it hadn't been needed? The letters included details of how she had managed her finances well and had resources far beyond what I had ever suspected. My instinct was to feel betrayed, but slowly, a deeper understanding emerged. Margaret's pride had never allowed her to burden me with the truth. She had wanted to let me feel useful, needed, and connected to Sarah's memory. Her silence, though painful, was an act of love in its own right, a complicated, heartbreaking gesture that mirrored the depth of her care. I remember sitting on the edge of Noah's bed that night, holding him close, and realizing that life's meaning isn't always about perfect logic or fairness. It's about love, sacrifice, and the unseen ways people touch each other's hearts. I had sent those checks not because I expected gratitude, not because I expected acknowledgement, but because I loved Margaret and wanted to honor the memory of the woman who had given me the most precious gift, Sarah, and now Noah. Even if she never needed it, even if she never used it, my heart had grown through that act of giving. And perhaps, in the end, that was the point. Over the following weeks, I went through Margaret's house, finding letters, photographs, and little treasures she had saved from her family. There were pictures of Sarah as a young girl, smiles frozen in time, and notes Margaret had written about her dreams for her daughter and, later, for me and Noah. Each item was a reminder that love often communicates not in words or numbers, but in the quiet, persistent ways we care for each other. I framed a photograph of Sarah and Margaret together, smiling on a sunny afternoon at the park. Noah and I placed it on the mantel, a new anchor of memory and connection in our home. The experience transformed me in ways I never anticipated. I began volunteering at a local community center, helping families who were struggling with loss, just as we had struggled. I started a small fund in Sarah's name, offering assistance to widows and single parents who needed a little support to carry them through life's darkest months. The irony that Margaret never needed my help did not diminish my resolve, it strengthened it. It reminded me that kindness is never wasted, even if its impact isn't always visible. Sometimes, the act of giving shapes the giver as much as the receiver. Months later, I shared the story with a close friend, a reminder that grief and love are intertwined in ways we rarely understand. It taught me patience, resilience, and the quiet power of hope. And as I watched Noah play in the backyard, chasing the golden light of the late afternoon sun, I realized that life's beauty often lies in these small, unnoticed acts of love. They ripple outward in ways we cannot predict, planting seeds of compassion and courage for generations to come. If this story has touched your heart, please engage with this video, like, comment, and share. I would love to hear your thoughts and your own experiences with love, loss, and the unexpected lessons life teaches us. I hope you take a moment to comment below, just before the ending, to share how acts of kindness, no matter how small or unnoticed, have shaped your life. It helps us remember that even when we don't see the full picture, love always finds a way to leave its mark. Life taught me that grief is a teacher, loss is a sculptor, and love is a force that never truly leaves us. Every check I sent, every act of care, every tear shed over a memory, had shaped me into a father, a friend, and a man capable of profound empathy. And though Sarah is gone, her legacy lives in Noah, in the lessons Margaret imparted silently, and in the knowledge that the smallest gestures of love can echo far beyond our imagination. Sometimes, the people we think we are helping are not the ones who need it most, but the heart that gives is always transformed, and in that transformation, we find hope, peace, and an enduring connection to those we have lost.